Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Expansion Pack podcast, where we download this week's gaming news, and you guys know we bring it straight to you. Happy Mother's Day to all the mothers out there, just to get that started. We're recording this on Mother's Day, but chances are when you guys listen to it, it'll be, the day after or some point later on during the week. So happy belated Mother's Day to you guys. I'm your host, Danzel, aka Black Ice, joined by my co-host each and every week, starting off to my right here, or right here. Starting off with Manny, aka Goopmaster Flex. What's going on, bro?
You already know. Stay gooping with the man bun because we keep it fun, right? Yeah.
Yo, you are freestyling demon today.
Okay, I like that one though. That was actually pretty good.
I gotta try. I gotta try.
Yeah, I respect that. Okay. And of course, guys, we got the man down low, Chris, aka May 25th. What's going on, man?
Chilling, man. I'm waiting on Manny's next album, bro. Shit.
Check out my
coming
SoundCloud.
Oh shit!
No,
Bring the SoundCloud back. Oh shit!
Yo, remember when I first started? We're like, yeah, check out my OnlyFans.
Yo.
So you graduated to SoundCloud.
The differences in revenue. Lord have mercy.
Oh,
my God.
Got to get your bag where you can, right?
God. That's right.
I stick with gaming.
All right. Well, with that being said, let's talk about some games like we always do, ladies and gentlemen. Not too much news this week. There's definitely some big things we're gonna get into for sure, but we're waiting for I keep wanting to call it E3, but we can't call it E3 anymore. Let's just say the summer season, right? We're getting all the big announcements and whatnot. Summer Games Fest is going to be popping off June 9th. There's going to be a big showcase starting that off. Obviously, last week we talked about Microsoft's E3 press conference that's going to be happening on the 12th, I believe, June 12th. But yeah, we're getting little pieces of news here and there. So we'll get into that in a moment. But before we do that, you guys already know how we do things here at the XPP. Chris, you got to start us off with the icebreaker, bro.
Hello, people. This week's icebreaker, excuse me, very, very simple. To you guys out there, what is the biggest gaming gimmick fail? Slow that down because maybe you might have been like, what the hell you just asked me? There's gaming in general, right? And then there's always like little tiny things they try to make throughout the years to like hook you. And some of it sticks and some of it is like really, really good shit. Not all of it sticks. So the question is, again, the biggest fail in your eyes, right? So for me, this is a gaming answer, but then it's also like an electronics answer in general. I truly feel we had a moment there, right, where we were pushing 3D shit hard everywhere, right? Everywhere. And I'm like, hey, yo, this shit trash, bro. This shit trash. I remember the 3DS. Do you remember, it was a cell phone. Excuse me, I don't know what's wrong with my throat today. I'm sorry.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
The HTC Evo 3D. You remember that, John? Hey, I bought that. I bought that, right? Thought that shit was litty. I remember the commercial. I was like, hey, yo, this shit look kind of fire, yo. I'm pulling my phone out. Like, hey, yo, look at these numbers just floating in the air and shit. Bro. This shit dope, right? The most useless feature, the most gimmick feature I could ever think of, bro. Like, it had no real function. What was it really going to do for y'all? It was purely gimmick, purely. That, a lot of the touchscreen shit that we've gotten here and there, even though I would argue the touchscreen shit obviously is way more utilized, like in general, right? Because we use touchscreen on our phones and everything like that. But I'm talking about touchscreen intuitives in gaming, per se.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think anybody's ever truly taken off with that concept of attaching a game to any kind of touchscreen stuff, where I think that there's a lot of areas there for them to make something really cool, but literally nobody, I don't think, has really... They've tried, but not really crushed that. You
mean like touchscreen controls in mobile games, or like crossing between like console and like touchscreen?
I think both, because I've never really liked a lot of the touchscreen controls in mobile games. Like, I don't even like them in Genshin Impact. I hate that shit. Like, that's why I've, to this day, said, Man, I wish I had a PS5 right now because I would love to just play that on a controller rather than the weird shit. You know what I'm
Well,
saying?
why don't you just it supports controller, right? So why don't you just use your Xbox controller on your phone?
But that's work.
Does that work? That's mad easy, bro. Come on now.
Well, one, I didn't even know I could play it like that. With an Xbox controller, didn't know I could do that.
Well, you could because the Xbox controllers all have Bluetooth now, so you could just Bluetooth pair it to your phone, and boom, you're good.
That I did not know that. I just learned something.
Open a new portal.
Well, before that development, that's how I was feeling. You know, I just didn't like how they did that, but then also just integrating it with, you know, actual console gaming and shit like that. I just never thought anybody really truly took advantage of that how they should have. But yeah, that 3D shit was whack, bro. Like that shit was
Damn, bro.
it's whack, bro. Like yo, this shit didn't hit. It didn't hit.
So Manny knows because we were talking about this before you came on, but that was my answer. So
I guess 3D was really whack.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's pretty whack.
Yo, speak on it more. You got more points to destroy these dudes with. Go ahead. But my thing, you know, the shit was whack. You know it was. It was whack.
I 1,000% agree. I mean, 3DS is probably the perfect example that pops into my mind. Is like, yo, that came out, and like I was, I'm not gonna lie, I was very excited for it when it first came out, but using it the first couple times, it was like, all right, like, cool. Like, really, what I'm looking for out of this now is just like an enhanced DS, and that's what we got. We got some couple games, new games, yada yada, but like nobody really utilized that 3D feature. And to be quite honest, I don't know how they could have necessarily utilized it. Like, it was pretty basic. It was like, okay, this is like a cool novelty feature, but like, let's move on from this now. Like, to the point where they, Nintendo made the 2DS, because what's the point of even continuing to make these, like, the 3D function of the system if people aren't really using it? So I agree with you 1,000% on the 3D shit, man. There's a couple console games they tried to slip us like 3D glasses in them. I feel like the Avatar game might have been one of those too. Like,
I think so, yeah.
I don't think I played the.
Yeah, there's a couple different games that tried to do it, and it was just like, nah, man, I'm good. Like, I don't. When you try to give me glasses, that takes me completely out of the experience, right?
Yeah,
but.
Yeah.
That's why I was like, okay, I was kind of excited for the Nintendo's iteration of it where you didn't need glasses or anything like that, and it was really just kind of like tricking your eyes into seeing the 3D. But that wasn't it, man. It wasn't it. Didn't add to gaming in any meaningful way, and it was a gimmick. Exactly what you said. It's a gimmick. So, I'm gonna see if I can come up with a different one though, real quick, while Manny gives his answer. So, what you got, Manny?
Yeah, I believe one thing that they should just like completely give away, except for the exception of free to plays, is premium currency. I should not have to pay $60, $70 for a game, and then it's like, oh, you want this? Well, you got to pay an extra like $20 for this premium currency, and then you can buy this cool little skin for a character and everything like that. I feel like that kind of like ruins the experience in gaming nowadays, because like back then, like in the 360 era, you could just pop a game in and it's like you want something, you just got to earn it. And like nowadays, it's just like you spend that money for the game and it's like you see that cool skin that you want and they just like put it behind a paywall that you have to pay instead of earning it. And it's just like it takes the meaning away from the skin as well as like the fun from it. Because like I remember Gears of War 3, like I used to want to get that MVP Cole skin, and in order to get that skin you had to complete basically every challenge in order to get that skin, and then you had it. It's like, you're this badass MVP Cole, and everybody sees you, and you're like, damn, bro, like you earned that shit. Yeah. And then it's like now when you play, like I remember to bring it back in Gears of War 5, and it's like, you want MVP Cole, or you just got to pay like $15-$20, you know what I'm saying, and then you're good. Yeah. And that's like, it kind of ruins it. And that's what made gaming fun back then. It was like just completing all these challenges and unlocking things. And like nowadays, it's like, unless it's a free to play game like Fortnite, which I understand, it's like, they got to make their money somehow. And, I'll give like free to plays a pass. But like when you drop $60, $70 on the game, I feel like it just doesn't make sense. And that's why I feel like premium currency on paid games should just like be completely done. But that ain't going to happen anytime soon.
Yeah, it's definitely not going anywhere. And to be fair, I don't necessarily want it to go anywhere, but I do think like within what you were describing, if you're gonna have the paid currency or like paid skins or any of that type of stuff. I want the type of skins that you were talking about from the past, where it's like if I do all these challenges, if I actually work hard, like I can
Mhm.
get this skin, and I want. I don't know. So let's say it's still going to be that same type of skin that you're talking about, the MVP Cole, right? Like, give me like a
Mhm.
designation between I paid for this versus I earned this. Like, if you're gonna do
Mhm.
the MVP Cole, like give the one that you have to pay for just like a, I don't know, just make it like plain gray or something, and then the one I have to earn, make it gold. You know, like just do something different to make it so that you can differentiate between I earned this and I paid for this, because I don't know. I do feel like being able to earn certain things in a game definitely makes it worthwhile. Where it's like, all right, like I put in the hours, I did
Mhm.
every single challenge, I got every single achievement, and now I have this thing, and me wearing it online, like I have bragging rights now. And I do think that that's missing in certain games. Like Fortnite, funny enough, actually does do a decent job of still having there be, I mean, like stuff built into the battle pass, right? Like if you get
Mhm.
level 100 in the battle pass and you get the certain skin, everybody knows like, oh, okay, he got level 100 in the battle pass, so he actually put in work to get to that point. Like what's level 100 right now? Is it Doctor Strange in Fortnite?
Yeah.
Speaking of Fortnite, shout out to Fortnite, because I started playing it again this week, and that no build mode, a zero build mode, is lit as fuck. Like I
Yeah, I heard it
completely
was
Mhm.
good.
forgot how fun Fortnite was. There's so much shit in that game. It's absolutely ridiculous.
It's
Like,
great.
yeah, I'm not gonna lie, I was making fun of you guys a little bit for going back to the Fortnite well, but then y'all sucked me back in, and I'm like, yo, this shit hit different. Like you running around, seeing Moon Knight running around, seeing Wanda running around, seeing Doctor Strange running around, seeing like literally every
Master Chief.
facet of pop culture, bro. Like they put the Star Wars stuff in there this past week for the Star Wars Day. Like like you could run around using lightsabers to kill people, shooting blasters from Star Wars. Like, bro, Chris, I'm gonna tell you right now, you might want to come up in there.
Yeah,
Because
no, I heard it was dope. I heard it was dope. I heard about a
but
week ago. Somebody told me.
also like especially when they moved to Unreal Engine 5, they added all these different mechanics to the game that I'm like, yo, they're doing this right, man. I have to respect Fortnite. I really do. They somehow stayed relevant for so
Yeah.
goddamn long. Mm.
Let me ask you a quick question though about the Fortnite Battle Pass though. Does their Battle Pass work in the same idea where you can buy your increments on the Battle Pass?
Yes.
Yeah, you can.
See, I hate that too though. You know what I'm saying? Because that literally kind of almost defeats the whole oh, this guy got to level 100 on the Battle Pass and busted his ass to get there thing, you know, because you could technically buy that too. You know, so it's like, damn.
I
Speaking of which,
remember.
damn,
I'm sorry to cut you off.
that's all good.
Now I remember there would be like Fortnite like battle pass challenges for skins. So like if you were to buy tier 100, like yeah, you had the tier 100 skin, but you would have to like complete challenges in order to get like
A
the
different layer
highest
to
end
it.
of the skin,
Hmm.
like the Omega skin in season 2 and everything like that. So there is like still like challenge gaps in
All right,
some of these skins, and they still do it to this day. So
Yeah, there's
because I
layers
know
to it.
COD definitely don't do that. COD just be like, just buy the whole damn battle pass and we just give
mhm.
you everything. There you go. All the XP
It's
bonuses,
more.
all the skins, all the characters, all the weapons, all the blueprints. Here you go.
Yeah, I mean, there's a chance that they can expand with that type. I mean, I think the industry at large has really just been kind of following Fortnite's lead with this stuff, like battle
Mhm.
passes and all that stuff. Like they kind of, I
Yeah.
mean, obviously, like battle passes weren't first introduced into Fortnite, but they're like the way they're implemented nowadays is very clearly from Fortnite. So I wouldn't be
Mhm.
surprised if Call of Duty does something like that down the road too, where there's like layers to it or whatever. But
Yeah.
we'll see. Um, but yeah, I don't know. I can't think of another answer for that gimmick thing, man. Because the 3D thing was really the first. Like as soon as you told me that icebreaker last night, that was the first thing that popped into my head. I was like, yo, fuck that 3D shit, man. Shit was such a lie. Like, But I mean, there's a couple random other things I could think of, like loot boxes are probably one of the worst things. I think that's more egregious than like any of the other microtransaction stuff that we talk about, because it's like, oh, I'm gonna pay you $5 for this random loot box, and like it could have the best possible thing in the world, or it could have the most common thing in the world. Like, I mean, actually, to take it a step further, RNG in gaming is fucking annoying. It's so
Yeah.
annoying.
Mhm.
Like,
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, you know, obviously playing Destiny and shit.
Yeah.
RNG and gaming is so
That's,
frustrating.
I
So
agree.
they never give you any real ways to curve it. Well, Destiny's trying to do that now, but like in general, a lot of these other games I've played, man, RNG is a bitch, man, and to the point where here's the thing with RNG, it shouldn't be a thing where like you're waiting for RNG to be lucky, like nice to you, so you can get that meta weapon. You get what I'm saying? Like the meta weapon should not be locked behind RNG.
yeah,
You know what I
the
mean?
meta
Like
weapon
that's
should be locked
bullshit.
behind like a fantastic
A
feat. Like,
grind, yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
Mhm.
Like that's crazy. And the fact that this Joe Schmo could have a worse Crucible game than I did and still get this weapon, and I like that's I don't like that. I don't like that.
or
That's not
or
it.
or or you do this raid a bajillion times and then you walk this one random guy into the raid who fucks up everything and they get the best weapon in the game that everybody had been grinding for days and months and weeks, and you just pop up in there, everybody's carrying you through the whole raid, and then boom, hey, Vex Mythoclast, I got it, guys, and everybody's looking at you like,
Woo.
fuck you, man.
Yo, they was big mad. I mean, big mad. And what? Are you fucking kidding me? Oh, man,
Bro, after that, mad people just left the
disconnect, disconnect.
game.
Bruh. That sounds personal, you know what I'm saying? LA.
Shoot, it feels
Yo,
personal when you out here grinding for something and then somebody comes up
yeah,
in there
yeah,
randomly and
it
just
sucks.
boop.
It sucks, man. And like that's how
Yeah.
it didn't feel the same, but it kind of felt the same when you started playing. And I had been grinding this gun for fucking months in Gambit. I mean months. He gets on and it just drops in his lap. And I was like, what's the perks you got? Are you kidding me? Yo, get the fuck out of here, man. It makes you I don't know, it awakens something in you that's dark. That's all I'm gonna say. That's all I'm gonna say. That's all I'm gonna say. All right, that shit it mess with your head, man. It ain't cool.
Yeah, nah, they got to do something about that. RNG definitely. I mean, in certain aspects, like I'm okay with some randomization in certain games, but when we're talking about like meta weaponry like that and in loot boxes and things like that, that shit's not fun. So yeah,
Yeah,
industry got to cut that out for sure.
absolutely.
Yeah, but I should have saved the little Fortnite discussion that I had for the first topic because that really has to do with Fortnite. But you know, breaking away from the
Fortnite Battle
icebreaker,
Pass.
Chris, thank you for that one again. It was a fun icebreaker
Mhm.
to dive into. But yeah, first topic we're gonna get into, guys, again has to do with Fortnite. So Microsoft or the Xbox team officially announced that Fortnite is available on Xbox Cloud Gaming, and ironically, it's the very first game, first free to play game that's gonna be available through the cloud streaming application. And to take it even a step further, Microsoft's finally gotten their stuff together with Xbox Cloud Gaming pretty much anywhere. So you can play it on a web browser, you can play it on Android, and you can play it on iOS. Now, for those of you who've been paying attention to some of the things that have been going on with Fortnite, you can't play Fortnite on iOS. Like the app has gone out of the store because of the fight between Epic and Apple. So as of right now, this Xbox cloud gaming thing is the only way that you can play Fortnite on an iPhone. So that's kind of a big deal, you know.
Yeah.
Obviously, Fortnite's one of the biggest games in the world. Kids are big on mobile gaming and they love Fortnite.
Mhm.
So this is one of those avenues that Microsoft has to get people into the Xbox ecosystem. To say, hey, Fortnite's the only way you can play, and people will start playing it through
Mhm.
there for
Yeah.
sure. So the other thing about this is the first game, like I said, first free to play game, but also the first game that's not within Xbox Game Pass that's available for cloud gaming. So it's kind of planting the seeds that Microsoft obviously has bigger ambitions for the Xbox cloud gaming stuff than what they've done so far. So I'm hoping to see more games dive into that Xbox cloud gaming library, like Destiny 2 is another free to play game that's no longer on Game Pass. So the idea is more people will be able to play that way. Warzone, although that seems like it's probably an inevitability because obviously Microsoft is in the process of buying Activision.
Oh,
But it's
even Grand
just
Theft
a
Auto too. Shit.
yeah, Grand Theft Auto Online. That's definitely a possibility. So the idea of this whole like Xbox Anywhere initiative, like it's kind of been heavily rumored for a while. You know, we talked about in the past Phil Spencer discussing the idea of having Xbox Game Pass or Xbox Cloud Gaming on TVs and making a dongle and whatnot. And it sounds like some rumors have been creeping up recently, specifically after this announcement, that say that vision of the Xbox Anywhere initiative is going to be coming a little bit sooner than we may have expected. I wouldn't be surprised if we start seeing that in June at the showcase or whatnot. But the idea is that we're going to get an Xbox streaming puck, not just like a traditional streaming stick, but a puck that might have a little bit more power in it than we may expect to be able to process some things on the puck, versus processing in the cloud itself. So with that being said, guys, what do you guys think about this whole idea? Basically being able to play Xbox games on your TV without actually having to have your Xbox plugged in. You can play anywhere essentially, which has kind of been the mantra for Microsoft for quite some time. I remember they've been talking about this back since the Xbox 360. Haven't really fleshed it out as well as they have now, but what do you guys envision this looking like? Is there a specific type of game that you guys want to see in this service, and more things coming to the cloud gaming platform? So, man, I'm gonna start with you.
Yeah, I mean it's pretty exciting to see, especially since Fortnite isn't like a Game Pass game. That we can see the possibility of plenty of other Xbox games or any games that hasn't been in the Game Pass service. So, it's exciting to see that we can possibly be playing like the whole library of our console on like a streaming stick in the future, which would be like great because, like you guys mentioned, mobile gaming is definitely like one of the biggest, gaming platforms out there because it's accessible to everybody. And to be able to just like plug in a puck on your TV, like you might have like your Xbox console on your room, but maybe you want to play like a game that you can play with the family in like the living room, and you just plug in the puck instead of having to move a whole console there. That also is like a convenient feature as well. So I mean, the future of gaming definitely is great on the Xbox side. The fact that you can like pretty much play the Xbox platforms on anywhere itself at the moment is great. But just to add even more of a library to that possibly in the future and definitely can like change gaming itself because it's not just like mobile games. We're talking about actual like AAA titles that you would see on the Xbox consoles.
Yeah, I'm glad you made that point about not just being like little mobile games or whatnot. Like these are like the best games that gaming has to offer that we're able to just stream from anywhere and have very readily available to everyone in the world. They're talking about expanding to more markets. Markets that may not be able to shell out 500 $600 on a console. And instead may have some expendable income to maybe shell out like maybe $5 for a subscription or something like that.
Mhm.
And I think even in this case of this Fortnite thing, I think you don't need any kind of subscription. I'm not entirely sure on that, so don't quote me, but I think it's entirely free to play. So I mean, even that is amazing if true. I'll
Mhm.
verify that, but yeah, the idea of it is definitely really interesting. Chris, what are you looking to get out of this?
Um, yeah, one of the points that Manny touched on, that's exactly where my brain was going with it too. The whole aspect of, do the whole living room thing. Because for me, especially, excuse me, there's certain games where it's like, obviously, I'll play by myself, like Destiny. I'm not gonna play that in my living room when I have company because it's not a game where you could pass somebody a controller and we all sit here and play. It doesn't work that way. So it doesn't make sense for certain games or certain games that are like more graphically intensive or whatever for me to say I want to put all this stuff on my puck and then go downstairs and play it. I would literally use the puck as like an extension of the Xbox for like game nights, Among Us, the Jackbox games, all that kind of stuff. I would fill the puck full of like really not heavily processing power based games. You know what I mean? Just really easy stuff. And then the idea that you could just take it anywhere is massive. I've been waiting for this for forever. I really wish PlayStation had something like this. Not to rain on their parade or anything like that, but I really wish they did because I hurt more not having a PlayStation and not having a way to access their games more so than I do Xbox. With Xbox, I have pretty good access to the games. I just have to pay for them or get them out of Game Pass or whatever the case is. But I don't have a direct access to PlayStation, so it would be awesome if they kind of did the same thing. But I don't know if that's ever going to happen.
Well,
Um,
PlayStation Now is there. I mean, that's the thing, but it's just the games
yeah,
that you want to
yeah,
play just aren't on there. So
yeah. Um, but yeah, I think this is a great thing. I think this is definitely definitely a plus for gaming. It's like a nice little convenience. You know what I'm saying? It's nothing like really over the top. It's a big move, but it's a nice convenience. That's definitely how I kind of look at it. Like
yeah,
they just made gaming a lot easier to do. You know, if you're stuck in a hospital bed for you just had a procedure done or something like that, the fact that you can take a tablet out in the middle of the and do that there, or if you're on vacation and you're across the country and your console's at home, you could pull your shit open and just play it. Like that's nice. That's very convenient. You could be in positions where you literally are immobile and still be able to play your games. You know, it's cool. Um, yeah, no, it's all around a plus. I can't really think of any real negatives to it. But again, I just wouldn't advise folks to just use that as their way to play anything that's competitive. If you can make that shit work, then go for it. I wouldn't do it. Yeah, no, that's the only negative I could think about that at all. Everything else,
Yeah.
yeah,
You
yeah,
just
go
gotta have
for
a
it.
stable connection, but other than that, I mean,
yeah. I
like I
think
said, you
that's
just
really it. I mean, Fortnite's a pretty competitive game. I think some people can make Fortnite work for cloud gaming. I guess it varies, right? Like
Yeah.
I think the fact that Fortnite is so wide ranging, like the fact that there's people on Switch who play Fortnite and this and that, like it's I think you can make it work from a competitive standpoint
Mhm.
if your connection is good enough. But obviously, when you get into like higher level stuff, you're not gonna want to try to do that.
I have a question. So you mentioned PlayStation Now. So you're telling me PlayStation Now is accessible on PC and cell phones and shit like that too?
I'm pretty sure. Let's verify. Hold on.
Yeah, because I didn't know it was that vast. So if so, that's kind of impressive. I didn't know that. I thought it was way more in a box.
I mean, I know for sure PlayStation Now has been on TVs. That's it's been that way for years. As far as
Look at my phone too if they have an app, just in case.
So just reading this right now, I don't know how old this is or whatnot, but it's saying there's no mobile app dedicated specifically to PlayStation Now. In the official PlayStation app, you can click on a link and that brings you to the PlayStation Now page. There you can browse through games currently available with the subscription.
Mm.
Mm-mm-mm-mm-mm.
Yeah, there's nothing on mobile market at least for iPhone.
Yeah, so it looks like it's just on TVs and through like a browser. So they're apparently they're missing that mobile component. But to be fair, you can like remote play from your PlayStation, like your home PlayStation to the app. So
True.
that's something. It's a stopgap, but it's definitely not as flush out
Yeah.
as the Xbox solution is.
I'm trying to figure out a way for the guys who don't have said consoles to like be able to do what they want to do. And with this Xbox shit, it sounds like, you technically don't necessarily have to have an Xbox now for some
Yeah,
people to do what they want to do.
1000%.
And yeah, that's what they need. They need an equivalent for PlayStation, man. For real.
I mean,
Because
they're
that
just
shit
catching up
hurts.
with Game Pass, so we gotta give them some time. Gotta give them some time.
Yeah, we'll
Enough
see.
with the excuses. All
We'll
right?
see about
Enough.
that.
Enough.
But uh,
Tired
but
of this shit.
but yeah, I mean, that's always how it is. Is give them some time. I mean, I personally I want to give this whole Xbox Anywhere thing some time. I'm curious to see what that evolves into, and
Yeah.
like we talked about a couple episodes ago, but Microsoft just got into the position of being able to put Xbox Series S and X server blades in, so that we're playing like Series X quality games through cloud streaming. Obviously, you're not going to get the 4K aspects of it and all that stuff, but the extra processing power, within the server allows for you to be able to play like Flight Simulator and things like that on mobile, and that's a pretty cool thing. So
Yeah.
seeing them progress that technology and get better and better over time is going to be very interesting. And then also seeing what they're going to do with all those that cloud studio that they kind of spun up to help make cloud only games. I'm really excited to see that type of stuff. So we'll see. I'm sure we're gonna have to hear something about this whole initiative more at the gaming showcase we're gonna see in June. So look out for that. But getting to our final topic here, it made pretty big news early last week. But Square Enix announced that they were going to be selling a number of their Western IP or properties to the Embracer Group. Now, for those of you who don't know, the Embracer Group is a holding company that owns a fuck ton of games that you guys probably like. Just to be straight up with you, I think it said that they own roughly 120 gaming studios. They own Gearbox, from my understanding. So Borderlands. They own Deep Silver, so Saints Row, the Metro games. It's pretty wide ranging. They own a lot of stuff, and now they're going to be buying a number of Square Enix properties. So the information that was given was, let's see. So for $300 million, the Embracer Group is getting studios like Crystal Dynamic, Eidos Montreal, Square Enix Montreal. Presumably they'll change their name, and then intellectual properties like Tomb Raider, Deus Ex, Thief, Legacy of Kain, and a number of others. They also sold off the rights to the Marvel like games, so like the Avengers games and all that stuff. The fact that they sold that for 300 million is wild. That's nothing, to be quite honest, especially when we look at, and we were even having conversations last week about some of these game studios and like properties being sold for billions of dollars. Now, to be fair, all these things that we're talking about, like Crystal Dynamic, they haven't been necessarily doing too great. Like that Avengers game that they put out wasn't really hitting. The Guardians of the Galaxy game that was made by, I think, was that Square Enix Montreal or Eidos Montreal? I'm not entirely sure, but the studio who was responsible for that game also got sold off, and they weren't doing particularly well with that game. Even though we did consider that like a sleeper hit of the year, that was probably Manny's game of the year, all that stuff. It was an absolutely good game, but when we look at sales numbers, it really wasn't there. It wasn't hitting the way it needed to. So yeah, I mean, it looks like Square Enix just kind of cut and run. They obviously Square Enix, they're all about their Japanese RPGs. Obviously, they've got Final Fantasy, Kingdom Hearts. Like it looks like basically this was kind of a play, in my opinion, to tighten themselves up to be more focused on what they do best, which is the RPG. What's the Japanese RPG? There's some people who have theorized that they think that this is also a move for Square Enix to get purchased, more specifically by Sony. I think a couple weeks ago there was some rumors going around that Sony was going to have an announcement on a big acquisition, and Greg Miller from the Kind of Funny, he mentioned that he had heard that Square Enix was the studio that was going to get purchased, and he mentioned that this week. So still up in the air, still a possibility, but definitely want to get you guys' take on this. I mean, 300 million for, I mean, Tomb Raider is a huge property. So to me alone, I feel like that selling along with Deus Ex, Thief, Legacy of Kain, Legacy of Kain is probably a lesser known property, but that game was hitting back in the day. So for that to sell for so little, guys, what do you guys think about all that? Chris, I'll start with you on this one.
I'm actually also very surprised at the Tomb Raider thing because for two reasons. One, the number is low, like you said. That is 300 million. Like this entire time we've been talking about like billies and shit. Like, I'm surprised how they didn't even get to $500 million. That's interesting. But on top of that, it's more interesting to me because like if you guys are planning to sell, we don't know if that's the case, but if that's what they're gonna do, to sell, how are you making your sales pitch better by giving away one of your biggest IPs? Like I don't understand how that works. So if I'm Sony and I'm trying to buy Square Enix, wouldn't you want Tomb Raider as part of that package?
Maybe not. Maybe if you're Sony, you already have Uncharted, and
I thought of that too. Yeah,
and you don't want to deal with the negative backlash of, well, we're gonna buy Tomb Raider and we're gonna make it exclusive, and everybody's gonna be like, why the fuck are you gonna make Tomb Raider exclusive? Like people on Xbox have been playing Tomb, like it's like it kind of becomes similar conversation about what happened with Call of Duty, right? Everybody was up in the air about, is Call of Duty going to be exclusive? Is it not going to be exclusive? Maybe Sony doesn't want to have that conversation, right? Maybe they don't want to bother with that type of stuff because maybe a purchase of Square Enix wouldn't be like a purchase of Bungie where they remain an independent studio. They would literally get absorbed into, assuming, we're making a lot of assumptions here. Just want to be very clear about that. But, you know, let's make the assumption that maybe Sony wants to absorb them into PlayStation Studios and have them making exclusive content. Now, with that being said, that same problem can exist with Final Fantasy, right? Final Fantasy has been on many other platforms. Now, a lot of people think of it as a PlayStation platform because of marketing, and obviously Square Enix and Sony have had a really good relationship, but I don't know. I mean, it could also just be they don't want to deal with Western properties anymore. Like, they literally sold every single Western studio. Like, I don't think they have any other studio that's not a Western studio. So they seem like they really want to focus on their Japanese studios, be very focused on that. I don't know. I mean, in some ways, I can see this being an attractive offer because this potentially lessens the price of the studio, and there's potentially less overlapping properties. Like Tomb Raider would be an overlapping property for Sony. Like, they would have to deal with Nathan Drake and Lara Croft, and it's like, I don't want to deal with that. So we literally just made this Uncharted movie and all this other stuff. Like, we're trying to make Uncharted what Tomb Raider was. Now, obviously, there's also the thought that, you know, you could just pair them together and we could get that Tomb Raider versus Uncharted game that we've been wanting.
I was going to say that.
But, you know, there's a lot of different ways it could go.
Bruh. That shit would be big hitting if they did that. Yo, big hitting. Even if the game itself sucked, the hype that would be around it would be massive. Yeah, that's ridiculous.
Absolutely massive. I mean, even the fact that Square Enix owned it, had a good relationship with Sony, and didn't take that opportunity to do that. You know, nobody's decided. There's got to be some number crunching that went down and was like, well, this probably wouldn't be worth it because, I mean, to be quite honest, the Tomb Raider IP is a bit dormant right now. You know, like after Rise, I don't think we've been talking about a couple weeks ago, they're going to be making a new game, but maybe, you know, from the standpoint of Square Enix and like anybody else who'd be looking to acquire them, maybe Tomb Raider isn't a valuable enough IP right now. I don't know. I mean, I feel like it could go so many different ways with this. I don't fully understand this either because I really feel like the Tomb Raider brand alone should be worth $1 billion just from, you know, all the different aspects of media that you can take it. Like, you could make a Tomb Raider TV show. You know, obviously there's the movies that exist. The games are big, you know. I don't know. But the fact that Embracer Group got it and got all of this stuff for $300 million is wild to me. Like, they seem to be consistently making these wild deals where they just own so many properties. Like I mentioned before, you know, like I'll just go down the line again. So some of the studios or some of the things they own, Gearbox, right? They own Dark Horse Comics. Let's see. So Deep Silver I mentioned before with you know, with Saints Row. 3D Realms, so I'm pretty sure that means they own the rights to Duke Nukem. I don't know, it's just random. Like,
that's random. A name I have not heard in forever.
Yeah, but it's just like they own so much stuff and they're just kind of sitting on it all. Like, it's absolutely wild to me.
What the fuck does Duke Nukem look like in 2022? Like, honestly, I think that is a hell of a question.
Of steel.
Yeah. I don't know if you can make a Duke Nukem game now, or at least have him be like as ridiculous as he's been. I don't know. I just don't know.
Duke Nukem won't get canceled.
The country not ready for him, bro. They not here for him.
Yeah,
I'm here for you, Duke, but the country they not with it. The country
they would totally not be with it. So they also own Saber Interactive, 4A Games. Like, dude, so like I said, that Metro game, like there's just so many things that Red Faction, Destroy All Humans, Darksiders, because they're basically THQ.
Oh yeah.
They're basically THQ Nordic, like so many properties, bro.
And they haven't done anything, bro.
They're responsible for Biomutant, Homefront. Sorry, I'm just gonna keep going through. Time Splitters, Kingdoms of Alamar, Valheim.
Darksiders. Is Darksiders the game that has that girl Morgan in it from Marvel Capcom?
No.
No? Am I fucking up? I'm fucking up. My bad.
Nah.
I think you're thinking of Dark Stalkers.
Is that it? Oh, yeah. You're right. My bad, y'all. My bad.
But yeah, I'm just going through more stuff, man. World War Z, the Evil Dead game, SpongeBob SquarePants Battle for Bikini Bottom. I don't know. It's just it's wild. All these properties that they own, man. They apparently own the developer who's making or remaking that Knights of the Old Republic game.
Mm.
I think it's weird that they own Gearbox. Like, that's wild to me.
Yeah.
Like, when I was looking this stuff up,
I thought 2K owned Gearbox.
Apparently not. That's wild. Hold on, I'm gonna read off exactly what it is. Embracer Group so this was last year. Embracer Group kicked off 2021 with its biggest purchase to date, acquiring Borderlands developer Gearbox for, that's cheap as hell, $363 million up front, with incentives that could make the deal up to worth $1.3 billion.
They heard that up to $1.3 billion, was like, yeah, we'll take the deal.
But bro, that's wild. That's nothing.
Yeah, the fact that you got to get incentives put in your contract as Borderlands is or Gearbox, I should say, is
Microsoft would have put up a cool couple billion for Square Enix and name it, but
I don't know, man. I'm very curious about how some of these deals are made, because like, that's wild. Again, to reiterate, that's roughly about well over 120 internal studios. So literally, this article from IGN, reading it real quick, says with over 120 internal studios, 230 games in development, and a massive stable of 850 IPs, Embracer Group has quietly become one of the biggest names in video games. 850 IPs, guys. Like, wow. Granted, we probably only care about a third of those, but even still, a third of 850 is a lot of IPs.
That's insane.
Like, yo, and we're worried about freaking Microsoft buying Activision. Like, bro, what? These are the companies we need to be worrying about.
Yeah.
And Tencent too. Tencent buying pieces of everything.
But the thing is, Embracer isn't an American company though. I feel like that's probably like a reason why. Even though I know Sony is like, being looked at for Bungie for some reason.
Well, because Sony operates in America, but that's not what I'm talking about though. When I say like we're worried about it, I'm talking about the gaming community at large, like complaints about stuff. Like the FTC will do what the FTC does, but at the end of the day, they're not gonna stop Sony from buying Bungie. They're not gonna stop Microsoft from buying Activision. Even all these lawsuits that are going on right now, like New York just sued Activision or Bobby Kotick, or I can't remember exactly what it is, but saying that they mishandled this whole acquisition or mishandled everything to lead to this acquisition. Like, whatever. All that stuff doesn't matter. The deal will likely go through, even if certain aspects of the deal have to change. But as a gaming community, we all complain and talk this, that, and the other, wax poetics about who should own a bajillion properties and like industry consolidation and yada, yada, yada. But I feel like we point the fingers at the wrong people, in my opinion. Like, Microsoft at some level, because of how high profile they are, anything that they do is going to be looked at through a magnifying glass. And I think because of that, Microsoft tries very hard to do things the right way. Sony, to a lesser extent, they don't necessarily get as scrutinized because it's just different. Like Microsoft has an entire company from Windows to Outlook and Office and all the stupid other shit that they deal with. They get looked at through like a very fine, everything goes through a fine tooth comb, Sony, not as much, but I do think that people also hold Sony accountable or try to hold Sony accountable when they do stupid shit. Embracer groups like the Embracer Group and Tencent, and then whoever it is that potentially could be trying to buy Ubisoft, because they said that they're in talks to get acquired by like a private equity firm. Like, gamers as a whole don't really point at those companies to hold people accountable there. So I don't know. I just feel like when I hear 120 studios, 850 IPs owned by one company, that's kind of a problem, man. That's the type of industry consolidation that we don't need.
Mm-hmm. I think the problem is like since they aren't like Microsoft or Sony, like they probably overlook it just for the simple fact that they're not gonna like do any exclusivity rights. So I feel like that's why they're overlooking it. But and then like if Microsoft were to buy it, then it's like now Microsoft's gonna make this exclusive, and it's like a whole big problem. So like
Yeah. No, I
maybe
definitely
that's
hear
why they
that.
overlook it.
I definitely hear that. I mean, I think but the only other argument I would go to against that is that Microsoft said that they're going to keep Call of Duty multi-platform, and yet there is still this whole conversation around like industry
Mhm.
consolidation and we shouldn't do this and we shouldn't do that. And it's like, well, they're doing the thing that I think everybody wants them to do. And obviously Activision is a place where like things were not going well, you know? So why are we still worried about Microsoft? You know, like don't worry about Microsoft. We'll worry about another company. Or like
Yeah.
keep going after Activision specifically because of the things that they're doing wrong. So I don't know. It just gets weird to me. And I think I don't know. Well, I mean, we'll see what happens with Embracer Group, but to me, like I don't feel like a lot of those properties that they've been or games that they've been making have come out particularly fruitful. I don't know.
Right? Yeah.
Mhm.
Hopefully, because at the least, like I don't know if I trust Square Enix to be running some of these properties. So hopefully, at least that like Tomb Raider will be able to just be Tomb Raider without having to worry about an overlord like telling them what to do or whatever. Because maybe that's the thing with Embracer Group is they're not really as hands on and bothering people to do this, that, and the third. Maybe Crystal Dynamic can actually do the thing with Tomb Raider, or Eidos Montreal can do what like maybe things will change as far as the trajectory of those studios. I'm also very surprised that considering $300 million, Microsoft couldn't just go buy Crystal Dynamic because they're partnering with them to do this Perfect Dark game.
Mhm.
Why not just shell out I don't know 100 million and go buy Square not Square Enix, sorry, Crystal Dynamic, and I don't know, you don't necessarily have to keep the Tomb Raider IP, but we don't really have a Uncharted type of game on Xbox, so like you could do that. I don't know. I feel like there's some interesting situations there. Even EA, like why wouldn't EA go buy them? EA's got money. They're not doing
Yeah.
poorly. They still make a ton of money hand over fist with like FIFA and Madden and all that shit.
Mhm.
It's interesting that it's Embracer Group, but I don't know. We'll
Yeah.
see. We'll see where this
Maybe they were the
goes.
first ones to knock, and that's it.
But you
They just got.
telling me EA couldn't offer up 300 mil?
I'm not saying they couldn't, but I feel like they were the first one to knock, and I feel like Square was just like desperate.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
kind of what it
that's
looks like to me.
It looks like that. You're not
I mean,
wrong.
didn't they lose like $200 million on the Marvel stuff itself? Like,
Yeah,
so
yeah. Square definitely
they
lost 200
probably
million.
so
Stop the bleeding.
But yo, that's even
Stop the
crazier. They
bleeding.
lost 200 million on the Marvel stuff and sold for 300 million. Like,
Oof, yeah, that's a bad
yeah.
break.
So they only made 100 million in the end. So for stuff,
did they even make that 100 million? Like, when you really think
Yeah.
about from a grand scheme of things, isn't that just a complete loss? Like, it's got to be a complete loss.
hmm
That's
Yeah,
wild.
that's pretty
That's
bad.
literally a cut and
That's
run.
pretty bad. Yeah.
like I said, I don't know. I feel like it was just a desperate call. They saw the opportunity, and Microsoft didn't bite first, probably just because of the whole Activision scandal. So like, they just got desperate. That's why I look at this situation. It's desperate measures.
Yeah, no, I think you're absolutely right, and but I think that desperation may lead to an acquisition because they said, I think Square Enix claimed that they did this so that they could refocus and focus on like blockchain and NFT stuff and yada yada, and it's like, bro, come on now, like
NFT.
the NFT stuff, people have already told you they don't really want to see you dealing with that stuff in their games. I don't trust Square Enix to do that right. So is it really because like I don't know, man. I really think
Yeah.
they get purchased.
We'll see.
Yeah.
If the whole rumors are true with Sony buying them. I mean, anyways, what they have left is Final Fantasy. I don't play that, so I'm fine with it.
Outriders too, bruh. Fuck you mean?
That's gone. That's gone. They don't. All their
Yeah.
Western properties are gone. All of them.
Why did I think Outriders wasn't part of that? I'm tripping. My bad.
All their Western
Sorry.
properties are gone. Like we done. We good with y'all. That's
Yeah.
like I don't even think does Sony own People Could Fly? Hold on, or not Sony. Square Enix.
It's a good question.
Oh,
I don't think they owned them. I think they partnered with them. They own the rights. Yeah, we're gonna have to dig more into this because the way they worded this too, like there might
Yeah,
still
it's a
be
little.
certain IPs that they still own too. Like I don't know, man. This is wild. That's all I'm gonna say. This is wild.
Mhm. I agree.
This is wild, and I think it's something that we're still gonna be talking about for weeks and months ahead because I do think that this will lead to
Square got
Enix
robbed.
getting. They robbed
Did they
themselves.
though?
It sounds
I
like.
was just about to say, did they get robbed? Nah,
It sounds like they robbed
I
themselves,
wouldn't
but
say that. Sold themselves short. That's what they did.
for real, for real. All right, guys. But I do think this is probably a good place to end it. Obviously we got a lot more that we're gonna be seeing these next couple weeks and months. Like we said, make sure to check us out next week. And if you do miss us next week, definitely make sure to come back by June 9th and June 12th because we're definitely going to be live streaming. Oh, I'm going to be live streaming the Summer Games Fest event because it's happening during the day, and I think these guys will be working. But
Probably.
yeah, I'm going to be taking some time off for that. But we will all be together for that Xbox Bethesda showcase, so make sure to check us out for that on June 12th, guys. Yeah, check us out at the social media stuff down below if you guys are watching on our YouTube page. And for those of you who are listening, come over to YouTube. Come check us out. Maybe give us a little subscription or whatnot. Help us out a little bit
Please.
for sure. But also, guys, make sure to check us out on our social medias at XPack Pod on Twitter and on Instagram. And then search us up Expansion Pack Podcast on TikTok, guys. Thank you guys again for watching and listening. Check you guys out next week. Peace.
Hiya.